Okay, hey everyone, and welcome back to another pick a card reading on my channel. It's been a minute since I've done a reading, I have to admit. Things in my life were just extremely, we'll just say stressful, primarily in the work sector, I guess, of my life. But luckily, I have walked away from that very stressful, almost toxic work environment, and I'm starting something new in a couple days, which is obviously very exciting. But it's given me a lot of time to recoup and get back to the things that I really love, which is obviously tarot, being one of them. So really excited to jump in today. I think given that I've had a lot of exciting changes happen over the course of the past, like literally 3 weeks, I really wanted to open this up, like open up this energy to the collective and really see what it was that was happening for you all next. So today's reading is going to be all about all of the exciting changes that are coming up in the near future for all of you. So without further ado, let's get into the piles. So as usual, we have 3 piles to choose from today. With 3 corresponding crystals, well, actually 2 crystals. And I was really drawn to using this alabaster shell that I found on the beach quite a few years ago, but I kept it because I thought it was really pretty. So that shell, that alabaster shell, if you're drawn to that, that's for pile 3. In pile 1, we have and sorry, I'm like skipping around. I don't know why I did that. But pile 1, if you're drawn to the quartz crystal that I actually found in the backyard of my hometown, so it's very special to me. And then if you are drawn to pile 2, this is the black onyx point. And I'll see you over there. Okay, hey everyone who chose pile 1. Welcome to your reading. So like I mentioned in the intro, today's reading is all about what exciting changes are coming in for you, or like kind of like what's next, what's coming in for you that's really going to give you a new life, a new view on life, something exciting coming in very shortly. So the timeline that I'm looking at is, in my mind, like when I was putting together this reading, is like between like 1 and 3 months. So anyway, that's kind of like where I'm kind of like thinking. So it could happen like anywhere between like today and 3 months from now. Obviously, this is a timeless reading, so take what resonates. But yeah, so really exciting because I cannot wait to see all the wonderful things that are coming in for you, pile 1. And so the way that I'm going to structure today's reading is we have some tarot cards, and then we'll take a look at some oracle cards at the end just to kind of round out and get the full picture. So, okay, let's see what cards you have, pile 1. So we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Knight of Swords. Oops. We have the 7 of Swords and the 6 of Pentacles. We have the Page of Cups and the Hierophant. Awesome. Okay, pile 1. I mean, I guess like off the bat, like something I see coming in for you, pile 1, is this, excuse me, I'm having some sound issues. So something that I see coming in for you, pile 1, is this sort of offer or almost like a gift that kind of comes in relatively quickly for you. And it feels like almost like too good to be true. So like it almost feels like it's like, wait, like this can't be true. There's got to be a catch. But the reality is like there's no catch. Like this is like for you, like this is coming in for you. And I mean, for some of you, it could be something that you have been manifesting, but it's going to look different when it arrives in your life than how it has been or how you have been like manifesting it, you know? So like if you were expecting like something to come in for you financially, like maybe you were envisioning like a specific sum of money, and then it happens, but it happens in a way that's like different than how you envisioned in that manifestation, if that makes sense. So that's definitely for some of you, but I think for most of you, it feels very much like this is too good to be true. And if I'm being honest, it kind of feels like some sort of like financial like windfall coming in, like, but I almost see it being like almost like a trust or like, like something where you have to kind of like split it between other family members or other people in your life. And I see that split going pretty like evenly. Like I don't feel like there's like any animosity toward like the way in which this money is coming in for all of you. Like it feels very, very generous and equal and fair. And I think it's going to, at least for you in your own personal life, really set you up both financially and then also more importantly, like give you sort of like a new like view on life, like emotionally. Like I feel like you're going to be very fulfilled and you're going to feel like this is setting you up for success. And I think, like I said, it does feel almost like way too good to be true. But it definitely feels like there's this sense of like a cycle closing and sort of like a new cycle like opening again. And the news is coming in fairly quickly, if I'm being honest. Like, with the Knight of Swords energy, like it feels like this is kind of like something urgent, something that you kind of like find out. I do kind of envision you finding this out like when you're alone. And then also with like the Seven of Swords, what I'm kind of getting is like you're almost like keeping this information sort of more private to yourself before you have like all the facts. So, like you might find out or like catch news or hear about sort of this about to happen for you, but because you don't know all the facts, you don't go and sort of like start talking about it openly. Like you kind of keep it a little bit more private until the other people involved are also aware of it. So that's also something that I'm getting with the Seven of Swords energy there. So it's not like you're like lying and being like malicious. It feels like almost like, like a white lie, kind of like just kind of like keeping that to yourself to like not feel like, you're bragging or like, yeah, like it's kind of like until you have like all the facts. It's kind of like what I'm feeling. But it definitely feels, I just dropped something, sorry. It definitely feels really good. And actually, since I just dropped something off the table here, I just kind of got this sort of like vision where like you might find out about this like almost like in a clumsy way, or like if you find yourself being clumsy, like maybe that's kind of a sign that this is about to come in for you. Or like something else I'm kind of like picturing though is like almost like you might find out about this windfall coming in through like physical mail. Like I know that seems I don't know. I mean, like for me, like I barely get anything important in the mail anymore since a lot of my bills and things like that are like digital. So sometimes when I check my mailbox, it's kind of like overfilled because I live in an apartment building and like I have to like go downstairs to like check my little mailbox. But I picture like a bunch of letters coming out in one sort of like swoop, and like one letter falling to the ground, and you have to kind of like bend over and you're like, what is this? And it kind of stands out amongst the junk mail kind of, and like that's the letter that tells you about this trust that you had no idea about. And I think that's something else. Is kind of like it was kept secret from you and your family members who are benefiting from this, like for a reason. And it again, like it's not malicious, it's not anything, but like whether it was universe-wise or like someone, the person who obviously like created the trust, created this sort of opportunity for you to receive this huge financial windfall, really kind of hid this from everyone intentionally because you needed to kind of like grow up and like like it almost like if you like knew about it, like you wouldn't have gone to school, or like you wouldn't have like had certain experiences that made you more like down to earth. Like I really see this being like a huge financial windfall for you guys, and you specifically because you're benefiting from it. So yeah, that's something else that I'm kind of seeing. But like you might find out about this money coming in via like traditional mail. Something else. It's sort of like totally random because typically with like the swords, like, I guess like we don't have like the Page of Swords here, but sometimes like even with the Knight of Swords, it's kind of like quick communication, which the physical mail typically isn't. But yeah, or for some of you, you might actually get like a text from somebody else in the family who's like benefiting from it. And you almost feel like, yeah, right, like they're totally lying about it. There's like this like feeling of it's too good to be true. They're totally lying about it, or you keeping it almost like to yourself for a bit until you have all the facts figured out. But either way, I do see for some of you, even it could set you up for like some opportunities that you maybe have been putting off for a while. Like some of you might go back to school, some of you might invest this money. I think beyond this windfall coming in, I see it being really great and really setting you up for success. So like, I don't necessarily think that it's going to, lead you down a path of like overspending or like whatever, So I think that's only good things coming in, and it's something because you may have like done the work on yourself, both spiritually, maybe even in a physical sense, like you got your health in order or like something like that. So it's almost like the universe is like rewarding you with this, even though this has been in place for quite some time. You just didn't know about it. So this has been like happening behind the scenes for you for a while. You just are finding out about it now. So very exciting, pile one. Whoops. Okay, I am dropping cards. I'm trying to pull some oracle cards now just to kind of round out the information. So let's see here. I'm like dropping way too many cards. Okay. Okay. So the card that you got was the Walker, the Unknown Journey. And one thing that I'm getting from that is sort of like, yeah, like this is setting you up on like a new path, right? So like this coming in is really opening up doors for you that you didn't know existed. And because you didn't know this was coming in, this feels like a pivot in your life. Like you maybe never even expected to take a walk down this path, down, and like, what does this new journey look like for you? I kind of like see a lot of opportunity being opening up for you, things like that. We also have the Sailor, new influences, wanderlust. For some of you, maybe this even opens up the door of like traveling. It's one thing that I'm getting to is like as above, so below, like with the birds and the fish. So like I said, I almost feel like this was kind of like written in the stars. Like it was always going to happen. You just didn't know it was like in the works, like behind the scenes, like actually like in motion until it was meant to come out for you. But maybe this is somebody, who has, like a long lost relative or something from like overseas, for example. It might open up a door for you to become an influencer, or just for you to like experience things on this new journey that you didn't think were even possible. And I think like even beyond, like I said, like at the beginning of this reading, like, we might only be looking at like between now and like 3 months from now, like beyond that, like this could really set you up to like give you the freedom, the financial freedom to like do the things that you've always wanted to do. And for some of you that might be traveling. And it maybe even like some of you might buy a boat, some of you might go, camping. Like it looks like this is kind of like in the mountains, like this, like doors are opening up, and it's going to just look at like the sunshine on like both of these cards. Like it's only positive vibes. I think this is really going to be great, pile one. Let's just get one more oracle card before we wrap this up. Oh. Yep. Sorry, there's like so many cards coming out. There's a lot here. Okay. You also have the Diviner, divine timing, evaluation. And I think really, kind of like what I was saying, like this is like a seed that's been like planted like a long time ago. And it's right now is like it's starting to blossom and it's starting to come out for you. And these doors and these opportunities are coming in due to like divine timing. Like it's almost like, I almost feel this like sigh of relief and this sort of like, when like you watch like a plant, like a time lapse of a plant or like a bud like blooming, like that's the kind of like what I'm kind of like picturing now. Like the beauty of that end result of like that rose, for example, like, it started with a seed. So like the seed, this trust, this money that has been planted such a long time ago is now coming into your life at a time when I don't want to say like deserve it because that's not necessarily true, but like at a time when you really put in the work and the effort to kind of, make something, like actually do something with it that's responsible and can really, will really sort of like open up the doors to change your life. So it's almost like two things. One, the seed is on one hand the idea that like this has been planted and has been like behind the scenes like working in your favor since the start, possibly from a divine, like a divine intervention perspective, or like even like, your soul chose this path, right? And then on the other hand, and so like, like it just sort of like it's starting to blossom now for you and change your life. But then on the other hand, this financial windfall could potentially also be the seed which propels your growth forward. So, all good things. So pile one, these are all the messages I have for you today. This is such an exciting reading for you. I'm so excited to see you guys thrive and for this money to come in. Let me know if this resonated. I hope that it did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hey there, pile two. Welcome to your reading. In today's reading, like I said in the intro, we're taking a look at all of the exciting things that are coming in for you soon. So like, what exciting changes can you expect to happen between now and the next 3 months from now? I was really kind of going into this reading thinking of kind of like a shorter time frame. Obviously, this is a timeless reading, so take what resonates. But yeah, so let's get into it. Pile one had a really exciting reading, so I'm really excited to see like what you guys have in store and what really exciting changes are coming in for you. So positive vibes only. So if you chose the Black Onyx Point, let's hop into your reading. And I did mention this in pile one as well, but we're taking a look at tarot cards, and then I do have some oracle cards at the end to help round out your message. So let's get started with your tarot card. So let's see, what does pile two have coming in for them? So like, what changes are coming in next? Okay, we have the Two of Cups. We have the Knight of Pentacles. We have the Nine of Swords, the Five of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. So something interesting, pile two, that I'm seeing is like some sort of like apology coming in that's like long overdue. And for some of you, it's this other person can't seem to come forward, and they're really sort of like overthinking it because of the things that they may have said and the work that you maybe have done on yourself. For some of you, I almost see it's like almost like somebody who, like, this might be a pile that is like still like dating in a sense, is kind of like what I'm getting. And what is happening is like you may have like gone on and like had this like partnership with somebody, and it started to like go really well, but then they kind of like were dragging their feet a bit, and like things kind of like ended. But in that time, you really like leveled up, and like they don't know now how to like approach you. So like they've been kind of like dragging their feet and like coming forward to like give you this like apology and like really overthinking it. Yeah, like it's almost like, so like that's one camp. And then something else that I just kind of like thought of was like there might be another group of people, if that doesn't resonate with you, like there might be another group of people who maybe had this like idea for like a business or something that you kind of started when you were in college or university, and you thought it was a really good idea. You had a great business plan, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, like, no, like that's not going to work out. Like that'll never happen. And you may have even had like a business partner at that time who ended up kind of like leaving you. And there's been all this like trial and tribulation, but like as of recently, like you kind of like made it work on your own. And I see some like a big change coming in for you, group two, if you're in this camp of people, is like a really solid investment, or like an investor coming in to invest in your idea. And it's possible that this investor could have been someone from your past that maybe laughed at your idea or didn't see how you can make it work. So yeah, I'm kind of getting like two different like camps of people here that on one hand and they're kind of like different too, which is really interesting. But immediately when I looked at the cards, I kind of got this feeling of like someone being ghosted, and then that person kind of coming back with like a really solid offer, but really like taking that offer is like up to you because you've really sort of like leveled up. So in a sense, I guess like both camps kind of like resonate in that way. That's kind of like the connecting tissue there, is that like there was sort of like a significant event that had happened in your life, idea or partnership or relationship, that didn't end up happening or coming to fruition. So you either leveled up, in the relationship front, or you sort of like created and leveled up your sort of business idea on your own. And that person who didn't believe in you coming back now to say, hey, I believe in you. Either let's try this again, or I want to invest in your idea. So there's definitely like two groups of people here that I kind of see, and they both really resonate with me. It's like hard for me to even sort of like discern where I see like most of the groups of people coming in on. But I think what's interesting, and if you kind of like fall on the side of like the relationship front, there may have been a lot of overthinking on your part when it came to the relationship itself, and that may have ultimately like drove this person away. And like that might sound really mean, but like I'm kind of that way too, where like I am such an overthinker. I have an abandonment wound. I'm always like, oh my God, it's really insufferable. I'm really terrible. I don't know how my boyfriend puts up with me, but I'm kind of getting that sense where there may have been like way too much overthinking, and that may have overwhelmed this person, and they either went in a different direction emotionally, and there was just this sort of like parting of ways. And it wasn't really like a great parting of ways. Like there were like words were had kind of. And you know, um you probably thought you never see them again because of the things that were said and exchanged at that time, because yeah, like it was just kind of like a really bad breakup, we'll say, even if you guys weren't together for that long. But the reality is like, there was a lot of common ground between you two. There was a lot of potential, like relationship wise there. And I think it was always kind of like meant to kind of like be where like you guys came together, you guys had this moment, and like in this person leaving, that sort of like triggered you into leveling up, and you sort of became like a really secure version of yourself, and still being yourself. And I think because you're such a unique person and you bring such a light to the world, that's what's ultimately drawing this person back into you. But they also don't know necessarily like how to like approach you. Like they may have also like leveled up themselves, like financially, I'm seeing. And now they might be the ones like overthinking, like, how do I even compare to pile two? Because I cannot just come in now and like, expect to like just be like, hey, I'm back, like be with me because you're such a queen now, with the Queen of Wands, like you're so unique, like there's no one like you. And you've always been that person, but I think losing that sort of like wound, or like healing that wound a little bit, really leveled you up and is opening up the door for this person to come back in. Now, obviously, this is good. This is something that you want. I'm not saying like this person sucked and they're going to come back in. I think, but like at the end of the day, like free will exists. Like you don't have to be with this person, but I think that's sort of like the biggest change coming in for you. And I think this person coming back in is going to really open your eyes to how much you've grown. Like I don't think like right now you even realize it. Like all the work that you've done on yourself, really leaning into that wound, trying to figure out what triggers you, going to therapy, like doing the work, like putting the work in on yourself. And sometimes it's hard to kind of like take a step back and like realize like, hey, this is actually working, you know? So, I think this person coming back in is really going to make you realize that like, hey, I actually have grown a lot, and I kind of deserve a little bit better, if I'm being honest. So if and when this person does come back into your life, do not feel like you have to succumb to like old ways, is kind of like what I'm feeling. because you really are in the driver's seat here. So you can decide if you want to continue in the relationship or continue on your own path forward. And then I think for the people who resonate more with sort of like this business idea, kind of the same thing. Like I see like this idea really taking off, like, people really like emulating you. Like you may have even been like, become like an influencer in a sense. And like people are like almost like mimicking your style. You have like this like impossibly unique style that people are like really sort of like identifying with. And this person just sort of like waking up, like realizing that they're also trying to like mimic your style. And they're like, wait, why didn't I invest in this idea when I had the chance? So I do kind of see them coming back in and being like, hey, hey guys. No, like they'll be like, hey, like, this is a great, thing. Like we should partner together. I can really, the thing is about this, if you're in the business idea camp, like I do kind of feel like it's going to be kind of an offer that's going to be hard to turn down, but what's going to be, you're also still in the driver's seat and you still also have free will. And I still see it being successful for you, like no matter what happens. But I do see this being like a huge financial sort of opportunity, and them being like, I want to advance this business idea because I see even myself, seeing the value in it. So like, like just seeing the value in it, seeing how people are almost like obsessed with it on social media maybe, and them coming in with an idea for you to consider on how to drive that business forward. So a lot of good things. I think, yeah, like it's almost like if I were to like sum up the change though, like between both, I almost feel like it's, it's something that like this person coming in, whether it's relationship or business, is really going to open your eyes to how much you've grown and how much you have done on your own. And that's a really beautiful thing. Okay, so let's take a look at some oracle cards now, and we'll get some final messages for this group. Oop. Okay. So we have the Champion. And I actually like love this because of all this sort of like sword energy where it says like achievement, downfall. But at the same time, like kind of like what I'm seeing here is like you have like kind of like what I've been talking about, right? Like you leveled up so much and you're coming out sort of like on top here that you really have this, like what's coming in next for you is like this like chance to sort of like take yourself even further. But I think with that and with this sort of like downfall message is that, you hold like a lot of responsibility in that. So, trust yourself, trust your decisions, trust that you're going to be making the right choices. And I think that will really lead you down the right path, like moving forward. But really like what I see is like you being in the driver's seat now, and you have this sort of, you've been given this sort of like opportunity, or you will be given this opportunity to, I think like surprise yourself with how much you've grown in sort of like the decisions that you'll be making. And I do see you being like very comfortable with that decision. And either way, it's sort of like freeing up your mind to move in the direction that you're meant to move in. And I think that's where you'll find that like success, even more so like that success yeah, like you'll find like success on that path forward, moving forward. I keep getting like a bunch of cards coming out. So there's like a ton of messages here. Which is pile 2? Need to know. Yeah. Okay, if it doesn't come out via shuffle, I'm just going to take from top. Whoa, okay. Okay. So we have I can't pronounce this, the chiromancer. I'm sorry if that's not accurate. Delivering news or collaboration. I'm actually going to put that over here because I feel like it resonates more with the Two of Cups and the Knight of Pentacles. But yeah, it's this idea that there's like news coming in of like somebody wanted to collaborate with you. I'm getting the sense, like I said, throughout your entire reading, that it's somebody from your past that has either wronged you or that you had like a falling out with in a sense. But they're ultimately going to, keep driving you forward. And I think that like it's going to give you an opportunity to collaborate with somebody, and really open up. Like it's almost like the stars aligning, kind of like that. Maybe like at the time when you were initially figuring things out with this person, like the stars didn't feel aligned, it wasn't the right time, but like now is the time, and this person is coming in, and it's really going to be a good thing. Like really is all I'm seeing. Okay, and then we have the assassin, ruthless conviction. Yeah. So like I kept saying, I think there really is going to be an opportunity for you, pile two, to really own this decision. Do you want this person in your life? Do you want this person to collaborate with you on this business idea? I mean, that's really going to be up to you. And I think you have to be ruthless in your decision and have the conviction, as this card is suggesting, to really move forward in that decision, whatever it is, on both sides. And I think that there's success to be found in both angles, where it's not like, oh, it's not like a fork in the road. It's almost like the decision itself is propelling you forward, but you have to have the faith and the confidence in yourself to make that decision for yourself. So okay, so pile two, those are all the messages I have for you. I hope this resonated. Please like and comment if it did, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye. Okay, hello everyone that chose pile three. If you chose the alabaster, I guess, I don't know, this awesome little adorable seashell that I just like love for some reason. And this is your reading today. So pile one and two had really exciting readings. So I'm really excited to see what the cards have in store for you, pile three. And yeah, so today we're taking a look at the next big changes, or like the next exciting things to come into your life. And I guess like what I've been saying in pile one and two so far is that I was kind of looking at this in terms of like a shorter time frame. So like between now and let's say like 3 months from now is when this change could come in. Obviously, this is a timeless reading, so take whatever resonates, but that's kind of like the time frame that I'm looking in, because I know like next big changes coming in soon can be like relative or like super vague even. So yeah, so it's kind of like, think of it as in like between now and the next 3-ish months. And I don't know why I have a water stain there, so I'm going to clean that up really quickly. Okay, so pile three, let's take a look at your tarot cards, and then I do have some oracle cards at the end of the reading to help tie everything together for some additional messages. So let's see, what does pile three have coming in next? What are the next exciting changes coming in for this group? So we have the Four of Swords, the Lovers, the Three of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Knight of Cups. Okay, pile three, immediately what I'm getting for this group, and if this is really specific, so if this does not resonate, please feel free to pick another pile or another reading on my channel. But I'm getting a sense that like maybe you up until now have been taking a break from a relationship with somebody. I don't necessarily see it being like a full-on breakup. I think there's still something keeping you two connected, because there might be like some soulmate energy happening here. If you resonate with twin flames, maybe that there's some of that happening here. But it almost feels like there was this need to take a rest in order for you to come back together. But like in the time apart, there was this sort of like energy of like waiting for like a new opportunity to come in. Also, what I'm kind of seeing is like during this time, one of you was really waiting on the other person, while the other person really went out into the world and explored. And I don't mean like physically with like other people. Like I'm talking about like, maybe this was a break because you or that other person had to move abroad for a couple months, and you just kind of like took some time apart from the relationship to kind of like grow and focus on yourselves like while that happened. but like ultimately it's making your connection even stronger. In pile three, what I really see coming in next is kind of like an end to this break where like this person's coming back. And they're coming back with so much just sort of like emotion and love, and it's going to like make your relationship honestly like feel even stronger, because in this time you may have, like I said, like leveled up, or like they were out traveling, so you were kind of like, I'm gonna stay here and like work on myself a little bit. But I think there is a little bit of this energy of like really, I don't want to like say like sitting around waiting, but like almost, like kind of like, I don't like say this, like almost like waiting for, like you knew that there was like a time frame on this break. Like you guys were like, okay, at the end of your 3-month internship in Brussels, I don't know, you're gonna come back and we're gonna continue our relationship. But until then, like let's just focus on ourselves and do that. And I really see that was like the case. Like I don't see any sort of like third parties. I don't see this or you like really entertaining like other people. Like the connection was always still there. Not to say that that wasn't stressful for you both. I think, there was a lot of like disappointment that you had to take this 3-month break while also understanding that it was necessary. And I think within like recent days, you've been feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for this person to come back. And I think they're also feeling the same way. And I think like that's sort of like the next biggest change is going to come in, is really this person not only coming back, but you almost like, you might even feel right now, because like maybe like your communication has been limited. You almost wonder like, is the connection still there? Because you might still feel it very strongly. Or maybe you're the person that went abroad and you might be even wondering like, do they hate me forever because, I went away, whatever, and did this for myself. But I really think it's going to be sort of like a reunion that feels really emotional and really loving, and it's coming from like a loving place and understanding, and your connection, what I'm kind of seeing, is something that can't be broken. So it's a really beautiful connection, and I think, like I said, like this is something that's actually going to make your relationship even stronger, because you needed to take the time apart to explore your own wants and needs, and that's really going to help your souls understand each other even better when either you or this person returns. And what's interesting is like I kind of see like, again, like the sand here has some water in it, so kind of like this person like waiting, the sand here has no water in it, and then the sand here has like a combination. So it's like I definitely see your worlds coming back together, and it's like being this sort of like amazingly, just like this like really wonderful combination of both of your experiences during this time apart. And that's really going to be emotionally fulfilling. Obviously I can't really tell from just this couple of cards if this is like something that's going to last forever, though I do think that the Lovers kind of like suggests that, or at least there's like this soulmate energy here. Again, like it's this feeling of like, no matter how far apart, no matter how limited the communication, no matter what, of you two coming back together. And it's really, really beautiful. It's going to be even more beautiful than the relationship was before this time apart. So I think that's really exciting, pile three. And even if like this time apart was difficult for either you or the person or both, again, like whether you were the person abroad, or I don't know why I keep using that idea. It could be like somebody like across your country, like who knows. But it's almost like this like coming together, combining of worlds. There might even be, actually, now that I'm kind of like saying that, this might even be like a long distance relationship situation where like the biggest change is like you moving to them moving to you, or at a minimum you guys like uniting. So it's almost like taking a break from the long distance communication, and like right now you're kind of like in a stage where you're like waiting for this change to happen, and like eventually it's going to happen and your worlds are going to combine, and it's going to be super, super emotionally fulfilling. So yeah, so like take whatever resonates. Like I said, like there's this idea of like something currently in your life, love life I should say, where there was like a break, or like yeah, like a break, but it's not necessarily like a break up. It's just sort of like an understanding of like focusing on yourselves for a bit while the other person or you, there's like an aspect of travel that I'm getting. Or, like I just mentioned, this sort of like really quick vision that just came in for me is like maybe, you or this person live overseas and you guys are finally coming together. So anyway, that's really exciting. Whichever one resonates the most for you, I think that's really, really exciting. So let's get some oracle cards and see what other messages the universe has about this really exciting change coming in for you. Ah, it's pile 3. Need to know. Okay. Okay, so we have the shepherd, celebration, family. Yeah, like I said, like I kind of have been saying, I do see this as being like a really um, celebratory like moment. Like I think is like the biggest change coming in for you. So whether that's you going to move in with this person overseas, them coming, like if it's like, or even like a long distance situation, like I see two worlds coming into each other. So like, and for whatever reason, I feel like it has to do with distance and like either you or the person having to like travel and you guys taking a break, or this like end to like a long distance relationship. But I definitely feel like it's like long enough to like where there's like a vibe of like being like overseas. So that's kind of like something that I'm like kind of like picking up on. You also have the thief, so seizing the moment and selfishness. Um, so I think it's kind of like interesting because maybe even when, if you fall under the camp of like, oh, like you or the other person, decided to take the break because of school, because you needed to move abroad briefly, or like there's like this brief moment that put distance between you and this person. In some regard, like that could have been seen as being a little bit selfish. um, but in the end, I do think that it's sort of like this, like seizing the moment. Like you had the window was opening for you to take this opportunity, and I think like you had to do it in that moment. Like this break, this distance, this whatever is so necessary in order for your relationship to continue to thrive even stronger than it had been before. So like, yeah, like maybe it seems a little selfish. It seems a little bit like, how could you leave me behind kind of thing. I do kind of see it, like I keep saying and repeating, like being only beneficial for you both. So let's get one more card. Woo. Okay, so we have the cartographer. A crossroads exploration. So yeah, pile 3, there is this sort of like energy of distance, obviously with like a cartographer, like a map, um, drawing up sort of like a new world. So that could also be like both of your worlds combining in this sense. But it's like something coming together in which you are closing that gap with this person. So, again, like it could be you, it could be the other person who is at a distance right now. But it's this idea that like the globe and like the earth and like the map, even in this example, like doesn't really even matter because your relationship and your connection is stronger than any distance between you. And it's almost like this like inner compass sort of that will always drive you both together. And I think that's kind of like what's happening in this sort of emotionally fulfilling way is like your worlds colliding, and really kind of like forging like a new path ahead. So like when you guys do come back together, like it really enhances your connection and I think will propel you guys into this really positive direction of even deeper commitment, a celebration, perhaps even like an engagement. I'm kind of like seeing like some rings here. So like I think there, and like rings on fingers, like there's just like this like element of like worlds colliding and coming back in. And I think actually one thing that I'm kind of getting even with like the thief is like the person who maybe is at a distance, and when you guys come back together, like you might be surprised to find like their style has changed, or like whatever, like there's some sort of like element of like them wearing like either like more jewelry than they used to, or like showing up as like really shiny kind of is like how I'm kind of like picturing it. And I think that's going to be like really really cool for you. It's going to be like it was like levels up the situation, I think, is kind of like what I'm trying to say. So really exciting stuff, pile three. I'm really excited for this person or for you two to come back together or to come into union. And I really think that's going to be like the biggest change, because it seems like either one or both of you are really wanting this, and that you've been waiting a while for this to happen. So really exciting stuff. I hope that this reading resonated. Those are all the messages I have for you today. Please like and subscribe if it did, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.